Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols, and today I have a trio of mini slim cards to share with you today that are perfect for sending a hello to the special people in your life. I'm using the Big Hello adhesive transfers from Deco foil. I've got the Big Hello dies and also the sentiment strips dies. I'm foiling with bronze Deco foil. I'm using the Berry Branch die collection, the diagonal stitch mini slim stacklets, and the wood plank background stamp. I'm using my stick and stamp mat along with my blending buddy. For ink, I'm using Mocha and Toffee, and I also have a bitty blender brush. I'm using white acrylic craft paint along with a sponge brush. I'm using chocolate truffle liquid watercolor, Copic opaque white ink, and a water brush for splattering. I'm using multimedia matte and bits and pieces black drip drops. And I'm using foam sticky strips. I'm starting off this project with the sentiments, and I'm using the Deco foil adhesive transfers. You get 2 sheets of the sentiments inside this package. I took one of the sheets in the package and I cut all of the sentiments apart, and I'm going to add them to either Toffee or sugar cube cardstock. I'm just laying everything out first to make sure I have space for everything on my cardstock. The adhesive transfers are sandwiched between 2 layers of thin acetate, and when I'm ready to stick them down, I'm going to peel off that back layer and just press lightly to adhere them to the cardstock. Next, I'm running each piece of cardstock through my die cut machine to fully adhere the sentiments. You can also do this with your Mink machine as well. Once the sentiments are fully adhered, I'm going to peel off that top layer of acetate and expose the adhesive. I'll layer the foil on top of the exposed adhesive, pretty side up, so you want to see that metallic color, and then I'll send it through my die cut machine again to fully adhere the foil to the adhesive transfers. Then I'll peel the foil off to reveal the foiled sentiments. I cut out the foiled sentiments with the Big Hello dies and the sentiment strips dies. Next, I cut out several branches using the Berry Branch die. I cut the branches out of olive cardstock. To add shading to the branches, I used Mocha ink with my bitty blender brush. To hold the branches in place while I added the shading, I used my stick and stamp mat. I added a template that I cut out of A2 cardstock into the blender buddy opening, and then set the branch into the opening to add the shading. For my card backgrounds, I wanted to create a rustic wooden look, and so I have white acrylic craft paint that I'm going to be painting onto Toffee cardstock. I'm just using a sponge brush to spread the paint across the cardstock. I'm not covering the cardstock totally. I want it to look like a weathered vintage board. I let the backgrounds dry, and then I'm stamping them with the wood plank background stamp. I'll set this up in my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp the wood plank background design onto the painted Toffee cardstock with Toffee ink. I used the diagonal stitch mini slim stacklets to add framed impressions onto my backgrounds. My background panels are cut at 3 inches by 5.5, and so I used the largest and the next step down to add the frames to the backgrounds. I added splatters to the backgrounds and also the branches using chocolate truffle liquid watercolor and Copic opaque white ink. I used my water brush to pick up the color, and then I tapped the brush over my fingers to add the splatters to the branches and the backgrounds. Now it's time to put the cards together. I arranged the branches and sentiments into several different card layouts on the backgrounds. I adhered the branches directly to the backgrounds, and I let some of the leaves overlap the sides because the card base will be larger than this background. I added extra thickness to the hello sentiments so they would pop up just a little bit more on the card by adding additional die cuts underneath, so I have 3 layers total. I adhered the hellos to each of the cards next to the branches, and then I added the small word strips using foam sticky strips. I added each of these background panels to a mini slim card base. For the 2 cards in the horizontal orientation, I added them to a side fold mini slim card base, and for the vertical orientation card, I added that to a top fold mini slim card base. The final finishing touch on this trio of mini slim cards is bits and pieces black drip drops. I used multimedia matte to attach the drip drops scattered throughout the branches on each card. Here's a look at all 3 completed cards. I hope you enjoyed learning how I created them, and I hope you learned something new. You can find the supplies that I used to create these cards in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you next time.